Let's start at the very beginning.
Flow of sound through time. And rhythm might be considered as a series of impulses, those pressure waves. And if they're slow enough, you get like a saw. Oh, in my house, outside my house, we needed to get some trees removed from the side of the house, or one big tree, some branches. And so the cutting was initially like this, with a handsaw. But eventually the guy got out the power saw, a rotary saw, and instead of it became fast enough so that you couldn't hear the individual sounds. Instead, the individual impulses, but instead you heard what we call pitch. As a matter of fact, our ears are amazingly sensitive. We can hear pitches from the wisdom of the gummy bears. We can hear pitches from 20 to 20,000 cycles per second. Unbelievable. Yes, our amazing ears, we can hear sounds, at least from a piano, as low as 20 cycles, vibrations per second, up to roughly 20,000 cycles per second. Above here, dog range. Below there, elephant range. Pitch can be determined by, as you just heard with the piano there, pitch is basically produced by vibrating bodies. Let's say a string, as in the piano, a column of air, as in the pipe organ, which we're going to hear very soon. And this could be a column of air too. Notice my Coke bottle. And I've got it just a little bit drained so much. And so the deal is I'll blow like a flute across the top of this. And some of the air actually will bounce in and out, and it will vibrate this column of air. And so we'll get a sound as follows. Notice it's a fairly high pitch. What happens if I get real thirsty with this Coke? Well, I might decide to have a big drink. Let's see what it does to the sound. Is it going to be higher or lower? Remarkable, much lower, because we have a larger column of air. So the take-home message is, the longer something is, the fatter, wider something is, and the looser something is, the lower the pitch. And if it's tighter, thinner, shorter, higher pitch. So imagine a nerd surfer on the beach, and he looks at the waves and he says, dude, look at the frequency of those waves. That means they're coming in rapidly one after another. The faster they're coming in, the higher the pitch. If the waves are large, you would say, dude, look at the amplitude of those waves. Notice those are pretty mid-amplitude. They're not like those big waves at Mavericks, right, in Half Moon Bay. So these perfect waves coming in, dude, look at the amplitude, and that would correspond to the loudness or softness of the wave, dynamics. And of course, one other quality we should talk about with respect to waves of sound is that they rarely come in pure forms. Usually your typical sound is a mixture of various waveforms of different frequencies and amplitudes, and that corresponds to what's known in French and brought into English vocabulary as timbre. It is also known as tone color, and that would be the difference between, say, a Coke bottle playing a certain pitch as opposed to a trombone mouthpiece, as opposed to a, say, pianosaurus, as follows. These are all C's. Sounds also differ in their envelope, how a note is attacked, how it decays, how it is sustained and released, and that will affect the tone quality. Okay, this is probably higher than 20 cycles per second because on a grand Bosendorfer piano, there are actually a couple of extra white notes and black notes down here. We'll talk about them later. You open up and voila, there they are. This one, not so much. But at any rate, that attack, decay, sustain, release, you can hear that both in human voices and also in something like a piano. So here's an attack. And initially there's a hammer in there that actually goes whop and then bounces away, so it slightly decays, and then it's pretty much sustained, although it really actually does kind of decay out. And it would totally decay out unless I lift up, and there's a little muffler in there that will kind of collapse back on the string and indeed totally release the sound in terms of stopping the vibration there. Very clever. And we'll see some of this mechanism a little more closely later. If the waveform is consistent enough, even with the diversities, attacks, sustains, decays, and the different timbre qualities, if it is still consistent enough, we call it pitch. You can hear this distinct high and low. If it's too chaotic, it comes out as noise. And by and large, the more pitches you have, the closer you can get to noise. Simultaneities, otherwise known as chords, are as such. Here's a one pitch on the handy piano keyboard on my phone. And here's a simultaneity. Here's another one. How about this one? Whoops. And this. And even maybe this. Ooh, before we go to that, we'll do this one. And now this one. And of course, the more pitches you get going, you'll get something kind of gnarly.